Now let's try this again.
At the film's opening, two thieves, Phil and Stan, arrive to carry out a major bank heist. Stan is uneasy about their leader, Parker, since it's his first job with the crew. Phil reassures him, saying Stan is a close friend he trusts completely. Parker then appears and overhears Stan. He warns Stan that if he's been brought back into criminal life he must keep his head down, obey orders, and not retaliate. You can't go around killing the manager because he's rude to you. Stan is told to be quiet, listen, and stay close to Parker. Stan agrees. Outside, their accomplice Gene is prying open the safe while the rest of the gang waits. Parker confronts the bank manager, accusing him of treating the bank as if it were his own and implying he's having an affair. The manager looks at a woman. Parker orders him to strike Stan to impress her. The manager complies and hits Stan, who becomes a hero in front of the woman. Then the manager opens the safe. Meanwhile, Joe, a bank employee, exits with his family, notices unfamiliar cars, returns and discovers the robbery underway. Joe decides to take money for himself and draws a gun. As the thieves depart with the cash, Joe fires, killing Stan and injuring Phil. Joe grabs a bag of cash and flees in his car. Parker pursues. After a tense chase, Parker shoots and kills Joe, then gives Joe's wife $10,000 before driving off in Stan's car. Back at their hideout, Phil is treated for his wound. They count roughly $400,000 and discuss more jobs. Jean begins undressing as the group grows close. Many admire her, which puzzles Parker. Jean then pulls a gun on Parker, shoots the other thieves, and chases Parker, who is wounded and falls into a river. A week later, Kane visits his Mafia boss, Chad, a dangerous man, and reports the recent bank robbery. Some suspect Parker, who once had ties to Chad. Chad says it couldn't be Parker because Chad believed Parker was dead. Kane says he heard Parker's voice but didn't see his face. Chad warns that if Parker is alive it could jeopardize their plans and orders Kane back to work. Elsewhere, Parker awakens in a hotel cared for by manager Denny Daniels, Parker's usual lodging. Parker asks why he wasn't treated in room 12. Denny explains that a couple occupies that room but the doctor treated him well. After thanking Denny, Parker goes to room 12, ejects the couple, and retrieves hidden guns, cash, and a passport. He pays Denny for damages and then visits Phil's wife, Ava. He notices many children. Ava explains they adopted because she and Phil couldn't have kids. Parker asks where Phil is. Ava told him Phil is dead. Parker recounts the robbery and that Gene killed the others. Gene brought Phil to the job. Parker vows to find out who Gene is and recover the money to give back to Ava. Ava begs him to stop stealing because it's dangerous. Parker replies that theft is all he knows. Gene tells Parker to find the man who introduced her, Reggie, and to promise to kill Gene so Phil's revenge is completed. Parker agrees. Meanwhile, Gary, a theater performer who secretly works with Parker on robberies, answers a government official questioning how his theater has survived without an audience. Gary brushes it off, saying patience keeps it afloat and that he needs bigger jobs. Parker tells Gary to find Reggie. Gary agrees to locate Reggie and gather details, seeking larger work. At dusk, Parker, posing as the driver whose identity he kidnapped, meets Reggie and asks whether Reggie introduced Gene and Phil and who Gene really is. Parker fires a warning shot for intimidation. Reggie says Gene is dangerous, a former dictator's bodyguard, and that he put her on a few jobs. Reggie claims goons may be after him. Suddenly their car is attacked. Parker kills several attackers and captures one alive. Benny meets Gene proposing a plan but demands money because he doesn't trust her. Gene insists she deserves trust. Parker arrives, seizes them and demands his money. Gene admits she spent it all. Parker kills Benny. Gene reveals Benny had planned a massive heist, targeting a treasure discovered by the dictator Della, a sunken hoard worth $1 billion that Della intended to display in America and then secretly profit from by selling it illegally. Gene planned to steal it to help her people. The treasure included many smaller jewels, worth $500 million, and one enormous gem valued around $500 million intended for a buyer named Paul. Kane reports Benny is missing. Chad orders Kane to find him immediately or face consequences. Parker recruits Gary for the operation. Gene introduces the crew, Harry, Ron, Mateo, who will steal and split the treasure. Harry demonstrates a replica statue so they can swap the original with a copy. Parker argues stealing directly from America's largest museum would take months. Instead, he proposes allowing Outfit, Chad's group, to steal first so they can steal from them. Harry and Gene approve. Mateo, claiming to be Gene's boyfriend, warns Parker. Parker taunts him. That night, Parker and Gene meet Ryan, Benny's boyfriend, at a restaurant. Parker tells Ryan Benny is dead. Kane's men storm the place, capture people, and a gunfight erupts. In the chaos, Parker finds the heist plan upstairs. Kane appears, Parker fights, and tosses him down a stairwell. Kane later reports to Chad that Benny is probably dead and that Parker likely knows about the heist. Chad considers Parker a major threat. Parker's team gathers Ava, Adam, Matt, as hired help, but Parker removes Ron and Mateo for distrust. They review the plan. Outfit will move the statue from the museum to an underground railway. A garbage train will collect the cargo and Outfit's Louis will control it. Ava and Adams will enter the control room and increase the train's speed. Gary will sabotage brakes at the next station so the train runs off the rails and crashes, allowing the team to seize the treasure. The robbery is set for the next night. Parker returns to room 12 where Jean visits. She tells him a story about a female warrior honored by a statue, the Lady of Orontor. Ron and Mateo ambush Parker and Jean, tie and abandon them outside an empty house, and tell Outfit men Parker was there. When Outfit goons arrive, they kill Ron. Parker kills Mateo and the thug, surviving. Chad calls, furious that Parker survived. Chad claims Parker can't succeed and boasts the heist already happened. Parker is stunned. Parker rallies his team and tells them they must pull the job off within an hour. They split up. Ava and Adams reach the control room, but the manager resists until Louis holds him at gunpoint. They overpower Louis, take control, and speed up the train, but it's too late and the train hasn't reached the required speed. Gary sabotages the brakes and fires to disable them. The train hurtles forward. Parker and Zane narrowly avoid being crushed by reversing their car. They open the container only to find rocks. Chad hadn't placed the treasure on the train. They face an onslaught of goons and barely escape when Matt arrives by car. The team is furious, but Parker calms them and outlines a new plan: track Kane to find the real location of the treasure. He reasons that even if Chad and his men try to sell the gemstones in pieces, the large statue can't be broken down. Securing it would net $500 million. Disguised as officers, Parker and Gary break into Kane's house after knocking out guards. Kane, terrified, tells them little. His girlfriend Mia reveals that a buyer named Paul Grace purchased the statue and stowed it in a vault with 8 safes that open only once a day at 8 a.m. The statue is in safe number 1. Parker, confident he can handle bombs, and Gary start planning the vault heist. The guards' monitoring cameras see a staged car accident of a girl and the surveillance goes dark. Zane and Gary ambush a guard while the team slips into the vault. Paul slips away and alerts Chad. Chad rushes to the vault only to find one of the unbreakable safes blasted open and empty. Meanwhile, Parker has already driven off with the statue in a truck, but during transport the statue falls and the goons recover it and return it to Paul, who plans to deliver it to Chad. Where a ruby falls from the statue, Paul inspects and discovers it's a fake. He informs the dictator, who angrily accuses Chad of betrayal and orders Chad executed. Chad insists he sent the real statue, but the dictator is unconvinced. In truth, Parker's team had blown open safe number 1 just as it unlocked at 8 a.m. and taken the real statue. Chad's men later seized a planted fake and assumed victory. Parker reveals he has been undermining Chad for months, robbing Outfit bank deposits and weakening their profits, which forced Chad into the dictator's scheme that would have destroyed him if it failed. Parker confesses he never wanted the money but revenge. He planted a bomb on the statue and, when confronted, detonates it, destroying the statue. Amid the chaos, he kills Chad, fights off goons, and escapes with his team. The next day Parker distributes diamonds and rubies to his friends at home. They celebrate. Parker then arranges for evidence from Chad's phone to expose the dictator's corruption publicly, which leads to the dictator's removal and Parker returning the stolen treasure to Jean's homeland. Zane urges Parker to leave with her to her country under the new leader, but Parker refuses, blaming her for killing his friends. When Zane reaches for a gun, Parker, knowing where she hid it, tells her he still loves her but cannot forgive her actions. She accepts her fate and Parker shoots her dead in the hotel room.
Zen.
He later gives Ava a few rubies as recompense and says he avenged Phil. Ava is pleased.
See? New York
With his
City, we got
revenge
it back,
complete,
man.